2 years ago, I stood in front of my students and made 3 predictions that everyone told me were insane. I said Donald Trump would win. I said America would go to war with Iran. And I said America would lose. 2 of those predictions have already happened, and today I am making my 4th prediction, the most important one yet. I am going to tell you exactly how this war ends, not as an opinion, not as a guess, as a logical conclusion, built on the same framework that got the first 3 right. But I want to warn you before we begin. What I'm about to tell you at the end of this video, the final prediction, is something that almost no one in Washington, in the media, or in the mainstream is willing to say out loud. Stay until the end, because the last 2 minutes of this video will change how you see everything happening in the world right now. Let us begin. Go back with me to May 2024. Biden is still president. Trump has 91 criminal charges against him. The media is saying he cannot possibly win. Oil is stable. The Middle East is tense, but war with Iran feels distant. The world looks manageable. And in my classroom, I made 3 predictions. Prediction 1, Donald Trump wins the 2024 election. Prediction 2, the United States goes to war with Iran. Prediction 3, the United States loses this war and this loss changes the global order forever. My students looked at me like I had lost my mind. But I was not guessing. I was not being dramatic. I was using a method, a framework I call predictive history, combining game theory with deep structural patterns from thousands of years of human civilization. And here is what that framework tells me now. The war started exactly as predicted. So the only question left, the one the whole world is now asking, is this: how does it end?
To answer that question, I need to do 3 things. I need to tell you what each player actually wants, not what they say, what they actually want. I need to walk you through the structural realities that no amount of military power can change. And then I need to show you where those 2 things, interests and structure, inevitably collide. So, let us start with America. America says it wants to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. It says it wants peace, stability, democracy. But what does America actually want? Control of the global oil supply. Because the oil supply is the foundation of the petrodollar system. And the petrodollar system, where all oil on Earth is traded in US dollars, is the financial engine of the entire American empire. Without it, America cannot fund its military. Without its military, it cannot maintain its position in the world. This war is not about nuclear weapons. It is about keeping that engine running. Now, Iran. Iran wants to survive. That is the most basic truth. Iran watched what happened to Iraq, to Libya, to Syria. It knows the playbook. And Iran has been preparing, not for months, not for years, but for 25 years, for exactly this moment. Underground military bases inside mountain ranges, decentralized drone factories hidden in basements across the country, weapon systems specifically designed to destroy American helicopters, armored vehicles, and infantry in close terrain. Iran is not just fighting. Iran is executing a plan it wrote decades ago. And then there is the structural reality that changes everything. America is winning the air war, and it cannot win the ground war. This is not an opinion. It is one of the most proven facts in all of military history. America bombed North Vietnam for years. Vietnam did not surrender. The British bombed Germany relentlessly in World War II. Germany only fell when troops were physically on the ground inside its borders. You cannot bomb a determined nation into submission. You cannot do it. History has never allowed it. And a ground invasion of Iran? Iran has a population of 90 million people. It is 4 times the size of Iraq. It is mountainous, and it has been ready for this exact scenario for a quarter of a century. Here is the other structural reality no one wants to talk about. The cost exchange is destroying America financially, quietly, steadily, every single day. Iran fires a drone that costs $50,000. America fires an interceptor missile to stop it that costs between $3 and $10 million. Iran fires them in swarms, hundreds at a time. America is burning through its weapons stockpiles at a pace it cannot sustain and cannot quickly replace. The most powerful military in human history is in a race against the clock, before it runs out of weapons to fight with. And at the same time, Iran is choking the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway that carries 20% of the world's oil. Yemen is threatening the Red Sea, another 12 to 15% of global trade. Oil climbs toward $150, $200 a barrel. Fertilizer becomes scarce. Food prices rise. A global recession begins to shape up. And ordinary Americans start asking the same question, louder every week. Why are we doing this? Why is my gas bill higher? Why is my grocery bill higher? The answer is this war, and they know it.
Now I have everything I need to make the prediction. This war ends in one of two ways, and which path it takes depends on one single question. Does America send ground troops into Iran? If America keeps this an air war, and I believe it will, because the people around Trump who actually understand the military situation know what a ground invasion means, if America keeps this an air war, here is what happens. The bombing continues for months. The cost builds, political support collapses, and eventually Trump goes on television and says something like, "We have achieved our objectives. We have degraded Iran's capabilities. We are bringing our forces home." He calls it victory, but everyone will know what it really is. America withdraws from the Middle East. The Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, immediately begin hedging toward whoever is still standing. The petrodollar system, already weakened, cracks further, and Iran, still standing, still in control of the Strait of Hormuz, emerges as a recognized regional power for the first time in decades. America loses the war, but it does not collapse, it retreats. Now, if America makes the other choice, if it sends ground troops into Iran, that is when things become catastrophic. Because Iran has been waiting 25 years for exactly that moment. Weapons it has never yet used. Underground bases America has not found. 90 million people who believe this is a war for their survival. And simultaneously, Iraq threatening American bases from one direction, Yemen pushing from another, America's entire position in the Middle East beginning to collapse around its ground forces like a closing fist. That path does not end in a managed retreat. That path ends in an empire-defining catastrophe, a draft, social unrest inside America, financial collapse, the end of Trump politically, and an acceleration of American decline that no future president could reverse. That is the ground invasion trap. And I do not believe America walks into it, because even Trump will eventually be told clearly and firmly, going in on the ground is the end of everything. So here is my prediction, my fourth prediction, the one I told you to wait for. America will not invade Iran on the ground. America will fight this air war until the economic pain and political pressure become unbearable. And within 12 to 24 months, America will look for an exit, a face-saving exit, a declared victory that everyone knows is a retreat.
America will withdraw from the Middle East, and when it does, the Middle East will reorganize itself around two regional powers. Iran on one side, with Russia and China as its economic partners, controlling the Eastern Corridor. Israel on the other side, with its technology and its deep connections to global finance, controlling the Western Corridor and the trade routes toward Europe and India. And here is the part that will surprise most people. Iran and Israel, ideological enemies today, will eventually find a way to coexist, Not as friends, never as friends, but as two strong powers that recognize each other's strength and choose to focus on the weak rather than destroy each other endlessly. And America, my prediction is this: America survives. It retreats. It does not collapse, but it loses the petrodollar. And when it loses the petrodollar, it loses the financial engine of its empire. The world that comes after this war will be more multipolar, more balanced, and in some ways more honest, because a world where one empire controls everything is not a stable world. It is a world counting down to the moment that empire makes its fatal mistake. In 415 BC, Athens was the most powerful city-state in Greece. It launched a massive expedition to conquer Sicily, its best ships, its best generals, its best soldiers. The expedition was a catastrophe. Athens never recovered, not because it was defeated by an outside enemy, but because hubris led it into a trap it could not escape. America is in that trap right now. The question is not whether America loses this war. Based on everything we have studied, that is already happening. The question is, how quickly does America recognize it? How quickly does it find its exit? And how much does it damage itself and the world before it finally accepts the reality? That is my prediction, not a prophecy, not an opinion, a logical conclusion built on structure, on incentives, on 2,500 years of patterns that human beings keep repeating because power always believes it is the exception to history. It never is.